let's get into it. My r/fantasy Reddit bingo recommendations and tentative TBR to attempt a hard mode blackout. The hardest one is always the book club one. It is always the book club one. I have to actually keep an eye out for a book I care about that I plan to read and when they read it and try and participate. It's always hard. I know I can switch the square. That just always feels like cheating. I know it's not. But especially if, like, the intention is hard mode. And the intention is to challenge yourself. Like, if this is the first time you're seeing the r/fantasy bingo thing with me, hi, this is a challenge on Reddit. It happens every year from April 1st of this year until March 31st of next year. You just need to get one line, one diagonal, one column if you want to get a bingo. A lot of us try to just, like, fill out the board for funsies. It's just a challenge. It's meant to challenge yourself, meant to get you to read more books. This was the first book community thing I ever did, even before I knew BookTube was a thing. I'm really happy it's gotten more legs throughout the years because I think it deserves it. I think it's a fun thing. I think it does generally force you to read outside your comfort zone, much to my chagrin, for some of these prompts. And so yeah, let's get into it to the best of my abilities. Sometimes some of these prompts are so specific that I'm like, have I read that thing? Is that in there? I don't know. I haven't read that book for a year. I have no idea. Like, that's what happens to me. Like for this first one, Knights and Paladins. One of the protagonists is a paladin or knight, and the hard mode is that a character has to keep a promise or oath. The obvious hard mode recommendation is anything in the Stormlight Archives. Like Way of Kings and on, any of those count. The whole point is that they have the Knight's Radiance and they have to take oaths. It's there, it's on the tin, but it's a very long book. So then I tried to think of a shorter one, and I've read The Clockwork Boys and Wonder Engine by T. Kingfisher, which does have a paladin character in it. I cannot remember if this paladin... Oh my god, Kaladin Stormblessed is a knight and a paladin. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, in my ability to not say paladin, there is a paladin in Clockwork Boys. And so, he's there. I think he makes a promise or oath. I cannot remember. And no one can confirm or deny this in the recommendations thread. So, they're short, they're fun. You might not get hard mode if you read those. And I've heard that in the Paladins series, it depends on the book if they make a promise or not, and it's unclear to me which ones. So the one I'm putting for myself, though, because someone said with their chest that this is hard mode, and I haven't looked into it, and it's on my TBR, is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. Sure, I don't know which character it is. I don't know if it's a knight or a paladin. I don't know if someone's telling the truth or not, but I'm going to read this book, and I'm going to hope. But not like, I'll check back in after I've read it if I agree. But yeah, and then if not, I'm hoping maybe one of the T. Kingfisher books, the, Paladin's Grace, it's like the Saint and Steel series with those 4 books. The next prompt is Hidden Gem, and I struggled because I actually put books on this, but they don't meet the hard mode. Well, my recommendation met the hard mode, but my own TBR did not. So for you guys, my recommendation, Temper by Nikki Drayden. I think it's currently around 700 or 800 ratings, so it has to be less than 1,000 ratings and published more than 5 years ago. I think Nikki Drayden is criminally underrated, always. This is a very interesting story. It's a community where you are born with essentially a twin, and the vices and virtues of the society are split between the two of you. Normally it's evenly split, sometimes it's very unbalanced. It feels a little YA dystopian, but then it becomes like a possession story. It's just a wild ride. A Nikki Drayden story is a wild ride. It's great for the winter. It's great if you just want an unhinged experience. I really enjoy it. If you don't care about hard mode, I'm still so sad this has less than 1,000 ratings. This is Arboreality. Makes me sad. I really love this book. It won the Ursula K. Le Guin Award in Fiction. I think it's great climate sci-fi. So good. The one I was going to read for myself is More Perfect by Temio, but that came out 2 years ago. So I was looking at my shelf, and I do have a book that counts called The Prox Transmissions that was gifted to me years ago by a lovely channel subscriber. And yeah, it was published a while ago, 2016, so it counts. And it only has 623 ratings, so if I can read that before it gets to 1,000 ratings, I'm in the clear. If not, I'm going to have to keep looking at my shelves, because ideally I would like to read the books that I own. The next one is published in the 80s, and the hard mode is written by an author of color. Like everyone, I'm going to tell you Octavia Butler. Especially in the 80s, you got some of the works that people don't always recommend. So this could be fun for you. The one that is the start of a series is Dawn. It's the start of Xenogenesis. It is messed up. It's a messed up, uncomfortable time. Okay, if you haven't watched my Octavia Butler guide, this one is... consent is a big theme, and it's questionable. My biggest complaint is that because it was written in the 80s, I think it's extremely heteronormative and not explained. I think it's just a product of its time. And like the reason why that's important is that a lot of the thought experiment hinges on that heteronormativity, which I don't think necessarily makes sense. For myself, I got Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie, who I have read one of his most recent works, and I liked it. I think this is a more famous one. I think he delves in the magical realism space, because the one I read was more of a retelling of a myth sort of thing. And so yeah, that's what I found that was an author of color that intrigued me. We have high fashion. Read a book where clothing, fashion, or fiber arts are important to the plot. This can be a crafty main character, or a setting where fashion is explored, like The Mask of Mirrors. I just do love that they already called out The Mask of Mirrors. But the hard mode, which The Mask of Mirrors does not count for, is that the main character makes clothes or fibers. So the recommendation I have to you, oddly enough, is Heartless Hunter. It's actually a thing. One of our main characters, what's his name? Starts with a G. Gideon. I think his name's Gideon. He is a tailor's son, and he does make clothing in the book. It's a part of the plot. For me, I saw in the recommendation threads Daughter of the Forest, which has just been on my nebulous forever TBR, because everyone loves Juliette Marillier, and I have yet not read her yet. And then I have read one Olivia Atwater, and I didn't dislike it. I read Half a Soul. I just never continued. And I think The Thousand Stitches counts, so maybe I could continue with that. This next one is Down with the System, and you'd think that I would know more for this one, but my mind was a blank. I have no idea if what I put on my TBR for this makes sense, but it's what I found in the recommendations thread that I wasn't uninterested in. But this is reading a book with a main plot revolves around disrupting a system, and the idea is not a governmental system, which I think is the part that makes it harder. The one I put down that I agree with is The Library at Mount Char. I not to get into the weeds of it, we are breaking down some systems. They are not governmental systems. They are very foundational systems, to say the least. If you've read the book, I think you know what I'm dancing around. I was told by the internet that Strange the Dreamer counts for this, which is one of those, like, there are a couple young adult books that people talk about constantly on the internet that I do occasionally go, yeah, I would like to consume that, so I have an opinion and I don't hate young adult on principle or anything. And Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares, that duology, is one of them. So if this actually works for this prompt, maybe now is the time, this is the year, I will finally do the thing and read a Laini Taylor. So I don't think I've read any Laini Taylor. There's some people like The Diviners by Libba Bray. I've read a Libba Bray. I read, what was it? I don't know, the Great and Terrible Beauty series? I don't know. Next one is Impossible Places. Read a book set in a location that would break a physicist. The geometry, non-Euclidean. The volume, bigger on the inside. The directions, merely a suggestion. At least 50% of the book takes place within the impossible place. So my recommendation, and this is based off someone bringing it up in Discord, I'm like, yes, I can shout about this book again. Driftwood by Mary Brennan, which is one of my favorite novellas of all time. I don't own a copy yet. I keep waiting to hopefully find it organically in the wild someday. This is a place where worlds go to die. Because the idea is that nothing goes extinct or dies just suddenly, right? Time moves on, but the ending is always a whimper. And so this is the place where they all go to die, and there's like this center area, and you're hearing about this place through the lens of everyone telling the story of this like legendary individual. And I think what I love about it, a lot like Arbo Reality, is like, yes, we're dealing with consequences, we're dealing with an end, but we have not stopped living. And I think that's a message that's really important, because when in turmoil, when in the apocalypse, one still needs to figure out how to live a life of dignity and happiness. So I love Driftwood. It's very cool. And it's not like very sad, I don't think. Like, it's a sad idea, but I don't think it's very sad. The one I would guess I'll maybe finally read, add it to the list of books that Angela hasn't read yet, and maybe she should. Paranesi. I don't know. Maybe I'll like it. It's one of those books that's so popular, I kind of get scared of it. Like, I don't know if it's for me or not. I have no idea. Maybe one of my slightly I'm scared of it moments is people who like it also like the Starless Sea, and like there's a non-zero amount of overlap there. But a thing that's in its favor is the Starless Sea is 500 pages, and this is like 250. Which I would have liked the Starless Sea more if it was 300 pages. So, book in parts. Read a book that is separated into large sections within the main text. So, like, the book has to have 4 more parts. This is like a pretty, like, easy, just find a book like this. Recommendations to you. Any of the Malazan books. Any of them. If you're like, this is the year I'm going to read another Malazan book, it'll work for this. You already know that, probably. One that, like, if you're like, man, I hear people talk about this, but I don't know when to read it. Spear Cuts Through Water. Beautiful book. It's split into 7 days, I believe, or 5 days. Very distinct parts. Amazing. Love it. Such a good book. Finally getting its flowers, which is magical to me. One that I'm going to use for a different square, but would work for this is like a Drop of Corruption. But I feel like a lot of people are going to use this for a different square. I put this here back before I realized there was a different square I needed it for. And the one I will use for this square is The City in the City, which technically has 4 parts. So here we go. And it's on my TBR for this month. The next one we have is Gods and Pantheons. Read a book featuring divine beings. There are multiple pantheons involved. Is hard mode. Again, any Malazan book. Any of them. God, it's littered with gods. So many gods. So many pantheons. Ugh. Just littered with it. Even at the start, like if you just read Gardens of the Moon, you have 2 pantheons. Done. It's there. One that's shorter and a little more diverse. And I think a lot of people read it last year because it was on some short lists and counted for criminals or something, was Shiggity and the Brass Head of Obathalon. That has multiple pantheons. The main character is a god. So you can't be more like in the spirit of hard mode than that. The one I'm reading currently and does count is Asunder. There are 2 pantheons, and I've had 2 deities of each pantheon be on page. So that exists. One that's probably more of a stretch, but you could probably argue it, is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. There are multiple pantheons. One of the pantheons plays a direct role. The other one plays a role, but it's more indirect. You don't, like, meet a character in that other pantheon. We have last in a series. Hard mode. The series is 4 or more books long. When I say I finished Verkosigan 2 days before this list went up, I was livid. Let me tell you. But I couldn't not finish it. I'm not finishing a book just for Reddit bingo. That's not where my life is. Although I did read Dreamer's Weave April 1st, which is not the last book, but it's the last thing in Verkosigan I read, but I don't think that counts. So for me, I'm going to hopefully keep going through Jeff Vandermeer's Annihilation Area X series and get to Absolution, which is the 4th book and currently the final book. If you're like, man, it's been a while since I've read Dandelion Dynasty. Did you know it has a 4th book, Speaker of Bones? Amazing. Or if you're like, man, maybe this is the year I read Chorus of Dragons. I hear everyone loves it. Discord of Gods, a 5th book in a series. So, you know. There you go. 2 of my favorite series that have final books, and it's past the number 4. I'm skipping the book club or read-along prompt. They have, like, full lists of books. There's so many books, and the hard mode is just to read it with them in time, which is the hardest for me, for sure. Now we have Parent Protagonist. Read a book where a main character has a child to care for. The child does not have to be biologically related, and the child is also a major character in the story. Okay, so I have seen that books that I have read that I'd recommend. The easiest one and the one I highly recommend is The Sword of Kaigen. The 2 main characters, one is a mother, one is a son. It's very in the spirit of this prompt. Another one is Kaikei. The main character is the mother of a lot of the children. The kid is not directly related to her. And she is very involved in his upbringing and his life, and he is a major character of the retelling of that story. One that is probably more of a stretch, but I'm going to say it anyways, is Bariyar, which is in Verkosigan. Cordelia, in that book, is very pregnant. And then at one point, she definitely is having to protect the small child. And actually, it's not even the child she's pregnant with that she's protecting. She's kind of a foster mother to a different character who is a major part of the plot of the story. Is it a main character? No. So the truest hard mode is Sword of Kaigen, of my recommendations. One that I saw on the internet that said that counted as Brown Girl in the Ring, and I can't even tell you how many TBRs this book's been on, so here we go. Maybe it'll happen. Next is Epistolary, so it has to feature diaries or journal entries, letters, messages, news clippings, and the hard mode is the book is told entirely in that format. I don't read many books like this. One that I read recently that is entirely told like this is The Unworthy, which I didn't love, but some people like, so here you go. The one it reminded me of that is all journal entries is The Handmaid's Tale. So if you're feeling in the moment, have at it. It's fine. For me, I was told that the hard mode... Oh yeah, so a hard mode for you, but not for me, is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. That's all journal entries. So which means that for me, I can use the sequel, which I wasn't really planning to read, but I didn't hate the first book either. I gave it 4 stars. Or is this the time I finally read Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel? It could happen. That was a big book when I joined BookTube in 2020. Not as much anymore. Next is published in 2025 and hard mode is debut author. For you guys, not for me, we got Green Teeth. Doesn't work for me. I think it's a good book. Great audiobook. For me, I'm going with But Not Too Bold, which is a novella that I have from Tor, and that is a debut by that author. Author of color, and then the hard mode is It Must Be a Horror. For me, I'm going to do Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. For you guys, I'm going to say The Devil in Silver by Victor LaValle, or any Victor LaValle. Amazing. I guess we're just author of color. Anything by Isabel Cañas. I love both of them. River Solomons. The number of amazing authors of color and horror. Tananari Due, The Good House. Amazing book. We're littered with it. I think most of my haunted house book recommendation list, authors of color. So if you're looking for recs, I have them, and I have so many. Small press or self-published. Read a book published by a small press, not one of the big 5. If it was self-published, it doesn't count if it's currently published. The hard mode has only 100 ratings on Goodreads or written by a marginalized author, which I really like this change because it makes my life so much easier. So for you guys, I got you Ocean's Gadori. This is by Zando Publishing, which is, I'm pretty sure, a small imprint. Even though they have some really popular books like Monstrilio and stuff like that. But Ocean's Gadori from Zando, it's great, author of color. For me, it's going to be the sequel, Tio's Durumi. I'm unsure how to say it. I'm very excited. It comes out this summer. I already have an arc. Literally one of my personal hidden gems from last year. I love it. Biopunk. I actually have a couple of recommendations for this. I heard this was hard for some people. And maybe it's because they've already read these books. That could be. Basically, read a book that focuses on biotechnology and or its consequences. There is no electricity-based tech. And I actually would say Asunder also works for this, now that I'm thinking about it, but maybe it's less biology. It doesn't have electricity-based tech. The ones, though, that people are shouting about because A Drop of Corruption came out, it's probably going to be my read as A Drop of Corruption, but you also have The Tainted Cup. So we use a lot of biology there. Another one I give you is The Stars Are Legion by Cameron Hurley. I don't really love that book, but it is all biology. To the point where it's very squishy. It's a very gooey place. It's very gooey, very biology. And then you have Escaping Exodus by Nikki Drayden. Look at this, another Nikki Drayden. They live in space in a space whale. What can I say? So yeah, all of those I think would work. All right. I don't know if my recommendation is good for this one because I do not know what the status of half elves or half dwarfs are for this prompt. But this is elves and or dwarves. They have to have the classic tropes. They don't have to be named that if it's obvious that they're an elf. But they have to be easily identified as such. Hard mode, the main character is an elf or a dwarf. So the one I put here, because I didn't even realize, so I think this works in the spirit because I actually just thought this main character was an elf. But I think when reading online, people are saying he's a half elf, but it was so much a part of the plot that he was elf, of elf inheritance, that I think it works. And this is Bitter Medicine. One of our main point of views is an elf. I guess maybe half elf. I don't remember, because again, in my head, he was so elf, he's elf. Lives for a really long time, has a lot of the physical markers. Another one, Chorus of Dragons has a species that is not called elf, but is very elf-coded, extremely elf-coded. A book I DNF'd that would work is Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. I can't decide if I'll try and pick that up again, or there have been some romances around I could read, but they all have half-elves. And so then I'm putting on the list Feybound. I hear that the main characters are sisters who are elves, but I haven't heard great reviews, so I'm not like excited to read it. I'm struggling with elves and dwarves. Because also, out of all this, no one's been mentioning any dwarf books in the recommendation list. Like, I almost was like going to read, there's the Dritz books and, what's it called? Forgotten Realms. Even though I don't really want to read a Dungeons and Dragons book. Not that I have anything against it. It's just like, really not normally my vibe. So I don't know. I'm struggling with elves and or dwarves. So if you are like, this is a book, I know your tastes, Angela, you should read this. It does count. The main character is an elf and or dwarf. None of this half nonsense. Please, comments down below. Next up, we have LGBTQIA Protagonist. Hard mode is that the character is marginalized on at least one additional axis, such as being a person of color, disabled, a member of an ethnic, religious, cultural minority in the story, etc. My read is going to be The Sovereign by C.L. Clarke. Comes out this summer, which means for you, you can read The Unbroken, because The Sovereign comes out. Also, Into the Light by Marcus Giroux counts. The Spear Cuts Through Water counts. Yeah, there's so many. There's so many, but those are just some that I can give you. I mean, The Jasmine Throne would count. Chorus of Dragons would count. There are just so many. So many. Once You Get to Wall of Storm and Dandelion Dynasty would count. All right, 5 SFF short stories. Hard mode, read an entire SFF anthology or collection. I have recommendation videos galore for short stories. The one I'm going to read is A Sunny Place for Shady People. That's the one I'm going to read. But I guess if you really need a specific recommendation, you can never go wrong with some of my favorites, like Exhalation or, what's it called? Her Body and Other Parties and things like that. Stranger in a Strange Land, read a book that deals with being a foreigner in a new culture. The character or characters of their group must be either visiting or moving in as a minority. Hard mode, the main character is an immigrant or refugee. Okay, Exit West. Perfect for this prompt, okay? Literally about refugees using doors to go to other places as these doors pop up. Beautiful. Another one that could work, Barriar. Cordelia is technically a refugee. She can't go back to Baden Colony. Technically works. And she is a foreigner on Barriar. It's kind of part of the fun. The one I will probably read is The Chosen and the Beautiful, because I was told it works, and I have the sequel or companion novella, so I should read this one first, is how I feel. Recycle a Bingo Square, I don't know. I don't know which one I'm going to use. Cozy SFF, hard mode, if the author is new to you. My recommendation for this is Bitter Medicine. I think this fits into that cozy fantasy romance slot, kind of like The Spell Shop, but maybe a little heavier. So if your cozy is my definition of cozy, this one might work. I don't have a book for this. I don't know. Like, I could, if it's a new author to me, I just truly have no idea. So I gotta go figure that out. The only cozy books currently on my TBR I've read from the authors before. So I'm searching. If you are like, Angela, I know you hate cozy things because you have no soul, but I think this one will work for you, and I don't think you've read from this author. Again, comments, please. Please, down below. Oh my god, generic title. This one was also hard. I couldn't even, this was just like such a puzzle box that I didn't even try to sort it out. I just went through the Reddit recommendations, and I was just like, what works? Because it has to like have Blood, Bone, Broken Court, Dark, Shadow Song, Sword or Throne, plurals are allowed, and then hard mode is containing at least one list of words and a one word and a color, number, or animal or something. I don't know. The hard mode that works for you guys is the Jasmine Throne, because Jasmine's a color. Enjoy. It's a great book. The ones that I have, I don't even know if I'd like them. I have The Blue Sword by Robin McKinley. I don't even know what that is. That looks very classic fantasy. I'm a little scared of it. And then I have Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, which, like, I hear Mal's, like, kind of an ass in that, and I don't like that. But I can't think of other books that work for hard mode for me. So, if you have ideas, even if it's a trashy romantasy, again, please, save me from myself. The bonus is not a book, and so the hard mode would be to write and post a review in r/fantasy. the spirit of this is to interact with speculative works in a way that you don't normally. And this was hard for me because there's really not a way that I don't, that's not a book. Like manga or comics count as books. And like that is the one where it's like, I really don't do that. So that would really probably be in the spirit of it. I watch a lot of stuff. I watch a lot of animated things. I watch a lot of live action things. I play board games. I play video games. Like I interact with speculative stuff a lot. So what I kind of landed on, and I haven't decided which way I'll go, is the number of times in real life and on the bookish spaces I have been told to consume One Piece is astronomical. I don't actually watch that much anime. Not that I don't. I do actually watch some anime. So I figured if I'm going to pick anime, it should be one that I'm like kind of scared of. And that's One Piece. And then the one that's probably even more in the spirit is like, I'm not actually against watching anime. I think anime is an amazing style. I think animated fantasy is better than live action fantasy always. I like always. That's my opinion. And then there is the live action One Piece, which everyone does say is actually a very fun adaptation, especially maybe for people who don't want to watch hundreds of episodes of the anime. But I'm actually more scared of the live action because I really don't think we need to be making live actions of all things animated. I don't believe in that. So one of those two. I haven't decided which. And it would just be either one season of One Piece live action or one arc in the manga. Not the manga, in the anime for One Piece. The last prompt is pirates. Read a book where characters engage in piracy, and it's not seafaring pirate. I'll give you another Bejeweled here. Falling Free, which is just an episodic Bejeweled, but this is the one where the people all have hands. Like there's no legs, just arms, which I guess freaks some people out. I guess sort of fair. I just found the characters so lovable that I can't be scared of them. They're very lovely people. So yeah, that's a fun rebellion piracy story. It's not in space. It's in space. It's not on a boat. So we're not seafaring. One I've been told that works is The Red Scholar's Wake, which I don't know much about, but I've been wanting to read more Elliot de Bodard. So that works for me. So yeah, please help me in the comments down below. Feel free to add additional prompts. So if people stumble upon this video, they can find more recommendations. And again, you can submit this bingo board in March of next year, even if you only do a line. And you don't have to do hard mode. Just a lot of us are, love to make ambitious TBRs for hard mode. Okay? It's just like a thing that brings us joy. In my Discord, people talk about how many bingo boards they might make, and they try to like theme them. A lot of people do things at various levels. I'm really personally liking the story graph challenge checker for this because I'm really bad at keeping track. In this one, it's like if I put the books in there, when I finish them, it automatically does it for me. So like that's the level of bookkeeping I need at the moment. But there are also interactive bingo boards. There's Canva things, like all over the place. I'll have the main Reddit linked in the description. And if you don't have anything to say, but you just want to let me know you're here, let's leave an emoji that is an elf, because goodness gracious, I am struggling. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.